Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're very excited that you're able to make it to the TriCouncil Scholarship webinar. My name is Lauren Lord, and I am with School Finder and Scholarships Canada. And joining me to speak with you about the amazing opportunities at the University of Lethbridge is Deirdre Coburn, who is the Graduate Awards Advisor. Please feel free to ask any questions during the webinar using the question tool, and they will be answered at the end during our Q&A session. We hope you enjoy the presentation, and I will now hand it over to Deirdre.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. My name is Deirdre Coburn here at the University of Lethbridge, and I am in charge with helping students through creating applications for scholarships or perhaps finding some new scholarship opportunities for you guys. Today, we're going to be looking at the TriCouncil Scholarship. And again, this is just a quick overview to get you started and get you thinking about applying for this valuable opportunity for you guys. So welcome. Here at the university, we are one of the carry institutions in Alberta, located in the south. We have more than over 60 graduate programs at the master's and doctoral levels. In 2016, the University of Lethbridge awarded more than $3.8 million in funding to our graduate students through various opportunities of scholarships, bursaries, and other awards. If you'd like to know more about the University of Lethbridge, feel free to follow the link to our Future Students website. So with TriCouncil, it is called that simply because there are three branches. There's the Social Science and Humanities Research Council. Most often people refer to it as SSHRC for short. We have the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council, and again for short we call it NSERC. And then we have Canadian Institute for Health Research, which is just shortened to the initial CIHR. It doesn't have a fancy name or anything. So those are your three main branches. So when you are applying, you have to choose which agency that your research falls under. So it's always important to go to the websites and read what their research mandate is and ensure you're applying to the correct agency. If not, you could automatically and right off the bat be put out of the game and out of the competition for any funding. If you have any questions as to whether your research falls within SSHRC or NSERC versus CIHR, since so many research projects now do cross borders and lines and are multidisciplinary, then I suggest you contact someone like myself who could help guide you. Talk to your potential supervisor. They should be able to guide you. And if we're still unsure, then we have no problems contacting the agency themselves and providing them a brief, like one paragraph outline as to what your research will be, and they'll provide some guidance for us as well. So at the master's level, you do have to be Canadian or permanent resident. You have to be enrolled in or will be applying or have already applied for admission to a master's program. You have to be completed, as of December 31st in the year you're applying. So in 2017, if you applied this December 1st, you have to have completed no more than 12 months of full-time study in your master's program. You cannot have held a master's scholarship with the TriCouncil before. And you also have to have a first-class average. So here at the University of Lethbridge, a first-class average is 3.5 out of 4 or higher to be eligible. And that's in your last 2 years of study and your undergrad level. For the doctoral, you have to be, again, a Canadian or permanent resident. You have to be enrolled in or have applied for or will apply for a full-time program, research-based doctoral program. The three agencies have a little twist on how much of the program you can have completed when you apply. Generally, as of December 31st this year, if you've completed anywhere between 0 and 34 months in your doctoral program, then you are eligible. Now, again, that does vary from agency to agency, and specifically CIHR, the health realm, has said that you have to have completed 12 months of graduate studies at the doctoral level, or if you're transferring, 12 months at the master's level before transferring to the doctoral. You can't have previously held a TriCouncil Doctoral Scholarship, and again, first-class average here at the university is 3.5 out of 4, and that'll be in your last year, so in your master's or in your previous undergrad. The value in tenure also varies. So at the master's level, regardless of which agency you're with, it's $17,000 for 1 year and 1 year only. And you could take that up, if you apply December 1st and are successful, then you could take the award up starting May, September 2018, or as late as January 2019. At the doctoral level, again, same start dates apply, May or September in 2018 or January 2019. NSERC, the value is $21,000 to $35,000 for 24 or 36 months. For SSHRC, it's $35,000 or $20,000 for 12, 24, 36, or 48 months. And then for CIHR, it's $30,000 plus you get a $5,000 research allowance for either 24 or 36 months. The variation in dates has to do with how far into the program you are and which award that you'll be awarded by the agency. But it gives you some idea of what you could have. Regardless of level or agency, you do not have to be accepted into the program, your graduate program, at the time that you apply for the award. So that's important to know. So some of you may be applying for the master's program in the spring, but the deadline is December 1st. That's okay. And same with the doctoral level. So the master's application, it is harmonized. So across Canada, the deadline is December 1st, regardless of which university you're applying at. There's no internal deadlines, and it is adjudicated at the university level. And each university has an allocation of awards for each agency. So we here at University of Lethbridge have 4 NSERCs, 5 SSHRCs, and 2 CIHR awards at the master's level that we are able to award. You as an applicant, when you're filling in your application online, you could choose up to 5 institutions that you want your application sent to. And at each of those institutions, they do their own adjudication, and you may or may not be awarded the scholarship from any particular university. And it's important to know that you can't transfer it. So if you apply to University of Lethbridge and we give you the award, you can't take that award to any other institution in Canada. It can only be held here at the University of Lethbridge. The application itself is completed online in their portal, as well as the Canadian Common CV is another part of the application that is attached to the online application. And I'll go through Common CV at the very end. I'll give you a quick introduction to that website, only because there's a couple other applications that also require it and some that don't. But I will show you the link to the online application. Oh, sorry. For the master's. When you click on that link, you're going to come to the research portal and you're going to have to register or create an account first. I have an account already. And so what you'll see is you're going to create an application. There's a drop-down menu here. You're creating the one for the master's. It's not open to date. It will be opening soon. So you can create your account and then you should be checking back to see when it's open. But I created one last year that I could show you. And as you can see, there are little status attention buttons on all the things that have not been completed. And essentially, you're just going to go through each and every one of these links until you get a green tick mark, and then you know your application is complete and you'd be able to submit at that time. Now, I don't have time to go through the application itself in detail. However, there are fantastic instructions on the website itself, oh, sorry, I don't have it open just yet. But you can go to the website and get step-by-step instructions on exactly how to fill out each and every one of these little points that you're going to be filling out. And then at any point in time, you could always extract it and look at it and edit it. You could send it to someone to edit for you. And then make your adjustments. You could log in and out as often as you like until the deadline. And regardless, you have to have your submission completed and all your attachments complete, including your reference letters, by the time you hit submit on December 1st, sorry. For the NSERC doctoral application, the deadline here at the University of Lethbridge is October 20th. So this one does have an internal adjudication prior to when the agency itself has their deadline, and that's so we have time to do our internal adjudication. We have an internal committee that will then decide which applications we want to forward or nominate to the national level competition. Each university has an allocation of nominations. So in this case, it differs from the master's level because we only have a certain number of nominees to go forward to the next level of competition, as opposed to having a specific number of awards that we could simply go direct and award to the students. So here you have an online application as well as official transcripts that you're going to have to obtain to have those attached to your application as well. So if I follow the link, you're going to have to, again, log in or create an account. And then once you're here, you're going to go to the forms for students. And then the form to be created is going to be the PGS-D and PDF form. So that's the graduate scholarship for doctorals as well as the postdoctoral fellowship. They use the same form for both. So that's the one you want to pick, and you're going to hit create. I've already created one, so I'll show you that one. And again, you can always see all the applications. You could start creating as many as you want if you end up changing it, but you can only ever submit one. So if you create this form, you then have to put in your title, oh, I have to create a program, sorry. Everything here in this application has drop-down menus. So you hit list and it comes up with the drop-down menu. And then you could start your process of filling in all of the pieces on the left here. Academic background, experience, awards, and again, a lot of it is done by drop-down menu, and just plug through it, entering all your information. Contribution statements. Eventually, you will have to upload your proposal and those sorts of things. The nice thing about this site is the instructions are just up here in the right-hand corner. And again, they go step by step through each and every one of these tabs and let you know exactly what you should be putting in there. Again, unfortunately, I don't have time today to go through it in detail, but it provides you with a great start. And then if you have specific questions later on, that's what folks like myself are here for, to help you through those questions. SSHRC doctoral applications. So again, we have an internal adjudication for this one. Here at the University of Lethbridge, it's November 20th that you have to have everything submitted. You're again nominated to the national level competition. And then each university has an allocation of nominees. So it's important information to know. And then here, there is an online application, and then you have certain attachments. What's important here is that the SSHRC application is not submitted electronically. They have an online application form that you fill out, and then you print, and then you have your attachments, such as your transcripts and your research proposal and your reference letters are all going to be hard copy attached to the printed out online application, and you submit everything in hard copy. So that's an important distinction. A lot of students I know get to the online application and then wonder why they can't log in or submit it. So here you're going to, again, create your account, and then you're going to create a new form. The Doctoral Awards program is the one that you want. And again, as with all of these, you could log in and out as many times as you want, so you don't have to do it all in one go. And you're just going to follow each of these little tabs and fill out everything that you have to fill out. Again, they have instructions right here for you. Follow those step by step, and you should have most of your application complete. There's always questions that come up, but again, that's what you contact folks like myself about. Then we have the CIHR Doctoral Award. So the internal deadline at the University of Lethbridge is October 3rd. The difference here is that there's no internal or university level competition. All applications are simply reviewed, and if they are supported by the institute, they will be forwarded to the national level competition. So that's a key difference between this one and the all other doctoral awards. And here you have the online application again, as well as the common CV. Oh, I'm not sure why. There we go. So you're going to go through the process of creating or registering your application. I've already logged in over here, so I'm going to go back over here. Under funding opportunities, you'll find the Doctoral Research Award, and you can see I've already started one here. So again, I could open it and close it as many times as I want. Oh, it wants me to sign in again. There we go. And again, it's laid out all the tasks that you need to complete, and you simply plug your way through each and every one of these. Once everything is complete, you'll be able to submit your application. Then finally, the last website that a couple of these applications requires, the Canadian Common CV. Again, you're going to have to create an account. You're going to have to log in. Once you've logged in, you then go up to CV. This is a very important step. Always pick funding source, not generic. Then under funding source, be sure that you're choosing the correct application. So for our master's students, you want to make sure that you're picking the CGS Masters regardless of what tri-agency that you are applying for. Do not pick one that you think is labeled by the application you're applying for, whether it's NSERC or SSHRC. At the master's level, it's very important that you pick the CGS master's level. With Common CV, because it's used for so many agencies and applications, each one of these is set up to pull the information that that agency wants. So if you're applying to the master's level and you've completed the CIHR form, it will not attach to your application and you'll be very frustrated. That being said, if you did accidentally start this in the wrong application, most of the information is, or all the information is shared between the different things. So if you go back and do it for masters, then it will pull all the information you've already entered. It'll just be in the correct format and everything else that the CGS Masters wants you to do. Once you've picked these, then you hit load. And you'll see when you first log in, you won't see green check marks. What you'll see is red X's. And again, you're just going to click on each one of these that you have to complete and work your way through in data entry. This is a little tedious and time consuming, this whole process, so I do encourage you to leave as much time as possible for yourself to complete this task. And you could always see what absolutely needs to be completed. You'll see the 2 out of the 2 or the 1 out of the 1. If you ever see 0 in the denominator, it means it's not necessary. You don't have to have an entry, but those that have numbers in the denominator, you do have to complete, okay? Then once everything is done and you're happy, you're going to hit submit, but you're not actually sending the application anywhere. What you will be doing is providing an agreement saying, yes, I agree for all my personal information to be attached to the application and forwarded to the committees that need to review it. So you have to hit agree. Then you get a green number up here. This green number is how you are going to attach your Common CV to your online application for the specific award that you're applying for. So you're going to copy that and paste it into the appropriate box on the online application. So for instance, if I went to the CIHR one, if I go back to my task list, there is a spot that is not jumping out of me right now, sorry, where you will Common CV confirmation number, that's where I'm going to paste that green number right there. And then it's electronically attached. So when you hit submit, it will be submitted along with the online application itself. So those are the programs that you're going to be looking at. Generally, overall, when you are writing your proposal, because every one of these require either a 1 or a 2-page proposal, depending on which application you're using or applying for. Generally, you want to open with a broad, overarching statement, big picture, set the stage. It could be outlandish or not, depending on the field that you're in and your personality, of course. Then drop down and start stating the theory or the conceptual framework that your research is taking place within. So here you could introduce the grounded observations or studies that have already been completed and how your research fits within that or expands upon it or is the next step following what we already know, or perhaps it doesn't fit that. Maybe there's conflicting evidence, maybe there's contradictory theories, and that's how you're going to fit into the research world. Then you could go into some specifics and outline your predictions, your hypotheses, what are your objections or objectives to your research, what are the methods you're going to be using. This is your opportunity to convince the committees that are reading your application that you're perfectly capable of completing this research and you're aware of what's going on in the academic world, in your research world. Then you kind of want to return to the bigger picture. Why is your research important? Who cares and why? You can go back to your broad overarching statement and tie it in to complete the circle of storytelling. But essentially it's important. It's not enough to simply say this research is interesting. You have to state interesting to whom. Why do we care? Why should we fund this? Okay. All very important, but that's a general, some few hints and tips on writing your proposal. And finally, just some general application tips. So always know your audience. In this case, for this application, for any of these, going to the TriCouncil, whether you're at the master's or doctoral level, be aware that you're always writing for an academic audience. But that being said, be aware that your committees may be have a variety of academic backgrounds on it. So just because you're applying through neuroscience group, your committee at the university level may not have very many neuroscience on it. It may have a representation of neuroscience, but again, it may not be in your specific research field. They'll totally be able to understand what you're trying to say, but you don't want to get too jargony and you don't want to be so focused on the minute details that you're isolating your audience either, because your committee may also have someone from geography in the sciences, it may have somebody from biology, and so it is a diverse group. But don't belittle them as well, so you can keep it at the academic level. Another important thing to remember is reference letters. Be sure you're providing your references sufficient enough time to write you a strong letter of support. So don't wait till the last minute. And in order to have a strong letter of support, it's also important for these people to have the knowledge about who you are, your academic background, possibly your non-academic background as well. So I always encourage people to provide your references with as much information as possible. Provide them with copies of your transcripts. They don't have to be official transcripts to provide to your reference letters, but so they have an idea of what your grades are, because otherwise they'll only know the 1 or 2 grades they may have given you, and that's it. This way they could speak to your entire academic profile. Provide them with a copy of your CV. Provide them with a draft proposal. Then they know that they could address whether you have the skills and the background to do the research you're proposing and address those points. And then any other points of interest. So make sure that they know that you've been awarded other scholarships, perhaps you volunteer somewhere, you have completed all your degrees while working full-time, which again is important to know because it speaks to your leadership skills, your time management skills, and academic life balance, all those things. And those little things are maybe what put you to the top of the list and inside the funding pool. So don't underestimate any of those points about yourself. And overall, make sure that there's no spelling or grammatical errors, write clearly and concisely, and no matter what, always follow the rules and the instructions that are provided to you by that agency, to the T. If they're telling you what your margins are for your proposal, you follow those margins. If it tells you what font to use, you use those fonts. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You follow each and every instruction, and you follow the deadline dates, whether it's an internal deadline date set by the institution or that by the agency themselves. Always provide evidence that you have the background and skills needed to complete your project that you're proposing. And again, your references could also help build that case. This few pages is how you are selling yourself as well as your research. So put in the time and effort. It does take time and effort, but in the end, it could pay off and pay off big, especially at the doctoral level. Here at the University of Lethbridge, you can get a hold of me using the email of sgs.awards@uleth.ca, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have, whether it's about a specific application itself or even more generally. A great opportunity for you guys to start looking at other award opportunities or even more details and internal deadlines is using the School of Graduate Studies awards opportunity website. So this is where I have a database created for you guys so that you can look up other opportunities that we have that are internal awards or external awards. And it's searchable, so you can search based on the program that you're entering or perhaps a specific name if you know the name of the award, those sorts of things. And of course, there's always the general inquiries form. So on our School of Graduate Studies website, if you get to the awards opportunity, you'll also see on the left-hand side a link to the inquiries form. This is a great way to contact me because you're also at the same time as having an opportunity to ask your questions, you're going to provide me with a bunch of information that will help me answer your questions better and with clearer guidance for you and you specifically. So I would encourage you to use the form as well. And that pretty much wraps up the applications in a nutshell. Again, it's not super detailed. If you are here in Lethbridge or on campus or anything like that, I do detailed workshops for our groups that want to apply to these. So feel free to sign up for any of those or send me an inquiry, and I'm happy to help. Are there any questions at this time that anyone has?
Awesome, thanks, Deirdre. I think you did a really great job of covering, a lot of information in a short amount of time. So yeah, as she said, anyone who has questions, please feel free to ask them through the question tool, and we'll definitely take a stab at answering them as best as we can. Okay, so I do have a few questions here from some of our members. Someone is asking, would the world-class GPA average be for the last 60 credits of your undergrad, or would it be the entire GPA average?
Oh, good question. So we look at your last 2 years. So most students do, let's say, 10 full-time courses over the year in each of their last 2 years. So I look at those independently. Some students only do 9 courses, some do 11 courses. So we look at your last 2 years as 2 individual marks. It's not your entire undergrad. That being said, in a highly competitive group of applicants, the adjudication committee does see your entire academic record. And I'm not sure if I emphasized that enough, but you do have to submit and obtain official transcripts from all institutions that you've attended and submit those with your application. But when we assess whether or not you're eligible, we just look at your last 2 years specifically. If you're entering the doctoral level, we'll look at your grades for your master's degree. And then maybe if it's highly competitive, they may have to look at your undergrad as well, just as a whole record itself. But just eligibility, we'll look at your last 2 years or your master's in your last year.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question we have from one of our attendees is, can you touch on the CGSM for direct entry doctoral students? They say that they believe that this is possible, but they're not quite sure.
Okay, so if you are entering the doctoral program, then you don't want the CGSM. What you're going to apply for is the doctoral award itself within whatever agency that you want to apply for. If you're applying for the health, so the CIHR, you have to complete 12 months in your doctoral program first to be eligible. Does that answer their question?
I hope so. I'm sure they
You'll ask again if I didn't, I'm hoping.
Okay, great. Thanks. And last but not least, we have another question. And she says, how detailed should each point, so for example, work experience, extracurricular, etc., be on the common CV? She's wondering if they should be in paragraph or point form.
That's a good question. Usually in common CV, I'll just go back to this. Go back to my website here. Where is my common CV? So in common CV, if we go down to employment, and again, can you repeat, was it non-work experience you were interested in?
No, I think they're just interested in like sort of the general format of how it should look, but they're wondering with things like work experience and extracurricular work.
Okay. So for work experience in this example, I have teaching assistantship listed, and so position title, and then the organization is filled in for me when I do the drop-down menu, and then all it asks is for department, faculty and campus, and then the start and end date. So that's all they ask for in common CV. So you're just going to follow exactly what they're asking for. It's kind of set out for you.
Okay, awesome. Great, thank you. I think that's all the questions that we have for now. Does anyone have any more questions? Oh, sorry, we had just one more come through just now. She's asking, if you're applying for funding at 5 different institutions, should your research proposal be more broad rather than catered towards specific professors or research areas?
That's a good question, and especially for any master's or entering master's student, I know this is a very common struggle for them, especially in that they may not have a clear idea of exactly what research they're doing. So what we suggest is that you lay out a research proposal that is feasible and doable and that you're interested in, and develop your proposal around that, okay? Rather than being so broad that you're not proposing any specific research. That's not what you want to do. So pick a project. It's important to know with any of these, if your project changes between the time you submit your application to when you actually accept your award, that's generally fine. What happens is that we ask you to submit a 1-page update outlining what your new research is, and so long as it still meets the research mandates of the agency you've applied to, it's fine. It's not a problem. So for those entering at the master's level and may not have a clear picture, oh, I might do birds or I might do snakes and I don't know what I'm doing because I could be in Manitoba or I could be in southern Alberta, then pick one. Generally, maybe pick the one that you really hope to go to and develop your proposal around that, because that's where you want to hold that scholarship. And then and then develop a research proposal that's focused around those objectives.
Okay, great, thank you. And someone's just wondering if you could go back to the last slide where your contact information is, just so that they can reach you later. Perfect. Thank you. And the last question we have, the last question we have here is, can you apply for both CIHR and NSERC if the research topic is applicable to both?
No, and this is where I outlined earlier when I introduced the 3 agencies, is that you have to pick one. So at the master's level, in the online application, even though it's one application for all agencies, there is a box that you tick off to say, I want to apply for the humanities or the sciences or the health realm. And then at the doctoral level, you could only submit one application to a single agency. So that's why it's very important to know what take your research is going to be based around.
All right, awesome. So I think that's all the questions that we have for today. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for attending the webinar this afternoon. We really appreciate you coming, and hopefully you did learn some great information. Deirdre, thank you so much for your great presentation. You covered a lot of really fantastic information. And if anyone would like to contact University of Lethbridge, all of the contact and information you need is there on the screen, so please take note of that. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.